So, Rachel, thanks for taking some time to talk a little bit about your experience in the Master of Science in Higher Education Administration program at New England College. But before we start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you are and what you do?
Sure. I am in Daytona Beach, Florida, actually. So I'm quite far away. It's very warm out right now.
Yeah.
And I work at a smaller, privately owned institution where we have about 500 students, and we specialize in job training and placement. So
Okay.
we help people become barbers, medical assistants, cosmetologists, things like that. So
Yeah.
mostly like beauty health fields, and I work in admissions. And I got into this field just sort of by not really accident, but it just kind of everything worked out. I left K-12 in 2021, and I was
Okay.
doing that for about 5 years. And I love education so much. And I've been looking to do a master's program, maybe in curriculum design, but I wasn't ready yet. And I was looking at a lot of different schools. And this was when I was teaching
Okay.
kindergarten. Then I got into admissions, working in a higher education, and I was like, ooh, I really like this. This is
Yeah.
really cool. I wonder, if there's like degrees for this. So that is kind of how it all started.
Mhm.
And funny story how I found the program. I there's not a lot of training materials because our school is so small. So
Yeah.
I have had to do a lot of learning on my own, a lot of hunt and pecking. And I had a student ask, just drill me on accreditation, and I couldn't really give her the answers. And I asked somebody, and I didn't get, I guess, the answer I wanted. And I was like, well, I'll just figure it out. So I scoured the internet about what makes accreditation and all the different questions
Mm.
that someone would want to know that's enrolling in a program. So I told my best friend about it, and she called me about a month or two later, and she's like, hey, I'm looking at this school called New England College, and I know you know a lot about accreditation because at that time you had to research it. Can you see if it's like good or not? And I said, sure. So I went on New England College's. She didn't enroll. I did. um, but I went on the website, and I was like, this is actually kind of cool. And so I was like, let me see what they have for education. Let me see what they have for master's program. And I was like, and then there it was in lights, higher education, master's science.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, is this it? Is this it? So here I am.
So that's how you chose our program. It's just serendipity.
It was serendipity, but it was also planned. I have to give actually you a lot of credit. I had asked the admission representative at New England College a lot of questions about,
Mm.
I work in admissions. I know which questions to ask. I was like, oh, this poor admissions rep, she's going to hate me. But did such a great job just going, I'm going to take these questions and I'm going to send them to Gavin Henning. And you answer them not only so fast, but you just like you went and took the time and went above and beyond to answer all of those questions. I asked you for a sample syllabus and you sent me three, and I was like, chips in, chips are in. Where's that financial aid?
Yeah.
So that was another big part of why I
Okay.
chose, because right away in admissions, I felt cared for. I felt that I mattered,
Mm.
which now we know is huge, a
Yeah.
giant part of it. So fascinating. But I've just had such great experience in the program so far, from the very beginning to now. I'm over halfway, I think, which is hard to
Yep.
believe. But I would have to say, like, the caring that the instructors have is crucial for me. I have ADHD and I am proud of it, and
Mhm.
I need a lot of assistance. And
Mhm.
I was worried about it for doing school online, but I was
Yep.
proactive in the beginning, and I've
Mhm.
learned with retention specifically, and whose shoulders does it lie on? Is it the institution or is it the student?
Yeah.
Both. It's
Yep.
both. Um, and I've been so blessed and so happy with the Office of Disabilities Services. The director has just been phenomenal. I knew right away when I talked to her. We did a Zoom, like an intro to,
Mhm.
like, okay, this is how you start. And
Mm.
um, it's been nothing but wonderful. And I meet with her every semester, and we just enjoy just talking to each other and catching up. And also she's been great too about letting me know that the door is always open. Like, if you ever just want to check in, I'm here. And in the very beginning, when I started, I had a lot of check-ins. And then I slowly started to, you know, gradual release, right?
Yeah.
And then we don't talk that much anymore, but we still email each other if I find something interesting, or she does the same thing. We'll send it to each other. So even though I feel I'm not physically there, because of technology, it's been fantastic.
Well, talk a little bit about the classes. So you talked about the instructors and the staff and how they're caring. What are the classes like?
Classes are formatted with, well, first of all, syllabus. Read the syllabus, read the syllabus, read the syllabus. Make your, you know, notes of the consistency of when things are due. So you usually have a big paper or a proposal project of some kind at the end of each course. Sometimes you might have an instructor give you like part one of a project in the beginning, which you will struggle, and that's normal because you don't know what you're doing yet. But you just do the best you can. And then you do a little bit more the next couple weeks, and you do a little bit more the next couple weeks. And then at the very end, you're like, oh, and you put all the puzzle pieces together, and then you're like, done. That sometimes happens. Consistency with the discussion questions. Discussion questions are every week. Sometimes they're Wednesday, sometimes they're Thursday, sometimes it depends on the discretion of the instructor. So that's something to be mindful of, to pay close attention to when discussions specifically are due. And also, for the first time, my instructor asks us to turn our assignments in at noon on Sunday, which he's basically taking that rope and shortening it for us, which has proved to me that I can turn things in by noon. It's possible. A lot of reading, a lot of supplemental reading as well. Within what you call, you got your textbook. Sometimes you have one textbook, sometimes you might have three. Everything's APA. Get cozy, get comfortable. That's just the way it is. Really prepare for law in higher ed. That class is intense, and every statement you give, you have to reference and back up. So because of that class, I had to do that. I've gotten really good since then of like really citing in my discussions and in my papers. Things have become a lot easier for me as I've gone through the program, because I feel that class was really tough. So like, not that everything else is easy, but I feel that I'm better equipped. So that's gotten really good. And paraphrasing, learning how to paraphrase is great. You'll learn as you go through a lot of the material of what is really the main idea. Like, literally go back in 5th grade. What is the main idea? What is the supporting evidence? What's the example? What's the elaboration? Like, you'll learn that. And so that's going to be really not helpful when you're reading, so that you're connecting to your understanding and your own schema. But it's also going to be great when you're writing because you have your main idea, and then you support, cite, connect, rinse and repeat. And one thing that I do a little differently with the classes and discussions that is a little odd, but I come from K-12, so I'm used to it. But every time I look at a really complex argument, or comparing, contrasting, or whatever, theory, if you will, let's say informal theory compared to implicit theory compared to practice, I will immediately take a PDF, and I have a Venn diagram, and I start, and I love it because I create my own graphic organizers from all of this content, and then I share them on the discussion boards. So that way the other students can then see them in, you know, just a graphic visual way. Again, I'm not there. We're not there. So we have to like go, I feel like I want to go above and beyond because I'm not there. So that's been really helpful of making graphic organizers within the class to help understand things a little bit
Mm,
clearer so you get the big picture.
yeah, interesting. Well, and I like that because what I say is that the instructors are really just facilitators, and really what makes the learning happen are the students. And so being able to share that, I think, is really helpful. So talk a little bit about, so you were already in admissions before you started the program. How has the learning your program impacted your work and how you go about doing your work?
Huge, huge. Everything. Well, first I see of the importance of certain things. I don't feel that I really kind of knew what was really going on, but now that I've not, well, as time has passed and my assignments and papers and understandings that I'm connecting, I actively use everything I learn every day on
Yeah.
purpose. Today, I was reading about theories. I was reading about informal theory and formal theories in practice. And so I was talking about it with someone when I was making my coffee this morning.
Ah,
Because again, I'm not there. So I purposely take what I'm learning every day for the most part, and I infuse it into what I am physically doing that day. Because I being in education in general and understanding how learning works,
mm,
I love to be able to take what I'm learning and then put it into practice to see if what I was learning is true.
yeah.
To help me kind of get the background, like the why of
Mm-hmm.
something simple, like when I notice somebody in administration maybe walking next to a student, having the body language that they're using compared to walking in front of them when they're walking to the office. It changes things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that was on page 57 or
Yeah.
whatever. But what I'm reading is more formal, and I try to use the informal side of what I'm doing and then kind of mesh it all together to make the most sense of it to myself. And then also having conversations with my peers to,
Hmm.
again, just solidify my learning.
Yeah.
And I also try to use the vocabulary as much as possible.
Mm, good. So if somebody else asks you about the program, what would you identify as the top 2 to 3, maybe 4 strengths of the program based on your
Ooh.
experience so far?
Um, Flexibility.
Okay.
There's an emergency. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Because that happens. It's not when something happens, or not, it's
Yeah.
not if something happens, it's when. So if you have food poisoning,
Yeah.
communicate that like right away. And if anything, your teacher will probably go, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry," because they feel for you.
Yeah.
The empathy side, the sense of belonging, I feel is one of the strengths. So that's one. Two, the use of Blackboard.
Mm,
So the learning management system and
yeah.
navigating through that, I feel is a strength. It doesn't take me very long to find something.
Yeah.
I feel that that's organized well. Uh, Three, communication.
Yeah.
If you email, you get email back,
Good.
which is another huge part. I feel that that was something that I noticed right away when I was inquiring.
Hmm.
Because to me, if an institution is not getting back to you, they're not calling you back, and you're having to like try to
Yeah.
get information, that should be a red flag for
Hmm.
me. Um, Nobody's that busy. Just
Yeah.
like your job. So
Yeah.
I feel that that's a strength. And the fourth strength, I would say, I really love the textbooks collection, believe it.
Oh,
I know, weird how the assessment one was really, there was a really good one on assessments. I loved. Suski, I believe, was the
yeah. Yeah.
loved that one. Uh I feel that the textbooks do a great job with going above and beyond and in depth and being clear with the way they're written. Some of them are large, but if you look at it and you're like, ooh, but when you start
Yeah.
reading, you're like, oh, this is not that bad.
Yeah.
So I feel the textbook selection is really good.
Great. What else? Is there anything else you'd like to add about the program in your experience?
I don't know. I think it's all been, I've been very happy. I've been very
Yeah.
happy. I think it's funny the way I stumbled across New England College, um, which is because my best friend didn't even enroll, and I'm the one that enrolled, which is hilarious. But it's just, it's challenged me.
Mhm.
Definitely. It has really shows you what you're made of, I
Mm.
think, because you have to balance, most people work 40 hours a week, like I'm doing
Yep.
right now. And you have to be able to, I wouldn't say balance because I don't really believe in balance. I don't think there's such a thing. Like you think
Yeah.
about a boat on like a wave, like the crest of a wave, and it's like a
Yeah.
split second. It's the same thing. Like there's no such thing. It's really more about prioritizing and like get your time management down.
Yeah.
Excel spreadsheets have really helped me in the program of managing my time to balance all of the material. I feel that the material is, the way it's released from the program is manageable.
Good.
It's not too little, but it's not crazy. It's manageable. So I feel that if it's again, it's a two-way street. Like if the student is prioritizing their time and they really make the most out of the readings, and sometimes you're not going to get to all the readings.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get to one reading. It depends, and that's
Yeah.
okay. But
Yeah.
as long as I think that you are making the most out of, I mean, you're paying for it.
Right.
You're paying for it. So make the most out of it. And I work with students and I have to say that to them, like you are investing yours is your choice. So
Yeah.
suck as much as you can out.
Yeah.
And use the resources, like use student services, use student services, use student services, use student services.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different services that the school offers that even though I'm again online, there's only, and I'm not there, I wish
Mhm.
I was, but I feel that even I have limited access because of the physical
Mhm.
location, there is still a lot of great services. The library is really great.
Yeah.
Again, I can ask a question to one of the librarian and right away they
Yeah.
can me back. And I'm like, oh, this is great. Because at 11:59, your stuff is due and you worked all day and
Yeah.
you're tired. So
Yeah.
the essence of when staff and faculty communicate quickly, that is really, really awesome. I love that. And the feedback is great. I've been very happy with the program, very, very much so.
Right. Well, Rachel, thanks for taking some time to talk about your experience in the Master of Science in Higher Education Administration program at New England College.
Anytime.